Hi, welcome back to the A-League Waffle Podcast. No mic problems, by the way. We have two guests here that are known in the community. One's been with us for a long time. Other is OP as fuck, basically. So introduce yourself, Benny,
Yep, I'm here, mate.
and Corzo.
Hey, I'm Corzo. This is my second podcast I've been a part of.
Re-
Shout out Ryan.
What I want to talk about is you guys are in the same team, QPR. I just want to talk about how's it feel winning champs regular season.
I'll go first here. I think when a team's as good on paper as it is, you're always expected to win. We had a little tough moment there in the middle where we drew and lost the game, but other than that, steady and very steady. No problems in the dressing room. Everyone's been
Yeah.
happy.
I mean, I guess our main winger, who's leaving for holidays, kind of threw us off a bit. I think we were able to scramble back and claim that championship.
How big was that? The loss of Zuza. He was your sort of main striker or winger, right?
Yeah, we had to change the way we played. I think we tried to play as if we had Zuza for the Juventus and the Liverpool game, and then after that we realised that we had to change our ways a bit, and since then it's been back to old QPR.
But we still have two incredible substitute wingers that filled in.
Yeah,
Chile,
that's-
Maine, Oak, all those guys did a job.
I just want to talk about a recent game you guys did. Just to start off my question. Hold on, I'll stream it.
Oh yeah.
This recent QPR nonce game. So you guys are 1-0 up, and over here you guys win a free kick like around here, I think. Just let it play out.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. I want to say the commentary said there's no way you could shoot from here, right? It's too far. I believe they got the wall up pretty soon as well. And you guys do like a pretty interesting thing. It's pretty interesting. I don't know if you remember this, but
We do remember it. That was an interesting tactic. See that one going.
now I believe no other team would have come up with this. They would have taken the free kick quickly. They would have gone for a shot. Did you guys practice that? I have to ask.
No.
Um, Look, Chile was midway through the run up, and Maine said something about he's free, and then Chile's like, "Oh shit, let's just fucking pass," as he always does. And then it's free cash.
Yeah. Is it like a sense of playing with each other each
I beg your
each
pardon.
game? You guys sort of get to know each other a bit more. Is
I
it sort
beg
of
your pardon.
like
I guess
cohesion?
so.
Yeah.
But like, even Jilly and Maine themselves have had that connection for a while. Like, they just sort of knew Jilly doing his dumbass run up from halfway, just sort of connected with them. Yeah, it was just made up on the spot. There was no planning. But it did turn out good. They go.
Yeah. So you guys only lost one game, and that was against Juventus.
Yeah.
And then was there a Liverpool draw? Or?
Yeah.
So only
They're both in this 1 day apart, I think.
yeah.
Wasn't a good weekend.
Definitely not.
Just like when you guys drew to Liverpool. Like, what do you think?
Oh, we all left the VC shirt on, I think.
Oh,
It wasn't great. I think Lee pulled out last second, and it was like, yeah, we have like 6. It wouldn't be the strongest lineup possible then, and at the end of the game, we were like a bit annoyed, kind of like feeling like we bottled it a bit. A draw and a loss as well. It's like, but you know, we sorted it out. We played, I think, probably like 4 scrims during the week against Juventus and Coping.
Mm.
And then after that, it was all smiles, happy days. Just needed to get back on track.
Other than the regular season, there is after that there is still a couple of games going on, but I just want to have a talk about the teams that are actually in the finals group stage basically. So Brighton, there's ACM, there's QPR obviously, and who else? Liverpool. I think they're guaranteed in as well.
Yeah.
So just 4 teams. I just want to have a talk about Brighton, and they were also title contenders at one point. What do you guys think of them during the season?
Oh, they were obviously they were the team to beat, pretty much, if we wanted to win that match. Obviously, we lost to Juventus when they had Zapdos and Falfrey. And then when we versed them for the first time, I think they had Zapdos and Valkyrie. But I don't know, I think we after that, pretty sure we versed them after our 2 losses, loss and a draw. So we all just wanted to get back on a win. And I think we just had a good game against them.
Even the regular season, there is like a outlier kind of, because there was sort of your elite teams, QPR, Brighton. You have like obviously mid-table teams, which whether they were in finals or not, like they are kind of similar. So ACM, Liverpool, and Juventus, and then you have the bottom 2 teams, which I wouldn't think anyone would blame them if they didn't get any points. I would think, because at the start of the season they had a rough start of the season. And I just want to talk about Coping, how they improved so much, and what are your thoughts on them?
I think it's simple. There's a reason why Coping have 9 points, Nons have 2. There's a reason why Coping can compete with the better teams, and it's consistency, availability, and to be honest, Nonce probably had about 20 to 25 players throughout the season. You know, they would just sign in whoever joined the server and it wasn't working, whereas Coping had a solid structure and stuck through with the same 6 basically every single game. And now they are just very fluent in how they play, and they all know how each other play, and it's starting to work. At the end of the season, they're starting to beat big teams, so it's probably the reason, to be honest.
And what happened to Nunts? Why do you think they sort of... Was there a particular like reason, or would you think?
Yeah, I think they could have done better with decision on who was manager. I think Joshy, when he first started being manager, like when he came into the league, he was like brand new. Didn't really know like the league too much or the game too much, but I think once they switched to manager, the Salmonella gave them a little bit more structure to be able to compete.
Yeah, that's pretty much all the teams. And I guess what makes a team is the players and how they perform during the season. And there's a pretty standout player in QPR, and he's in this voice chat right now, and it's Corzo.
Raheem, what's us? Welcome.
Also, Benny had a pretty good performance as well, but everybody's been talking about Corzo. You're pretty good at everything. You're good at defending. You're good at dribbling and getting into those one-on-one shots with the keeper, and you sort of like, the community thinks you have all the attributes to just you. I don't want to put words in people's mouth, but kind of overpowered. Like how I'm gonna just ask you straight up. How do you get that good?
Oh,
That might be up.
that's a hard. I don't know. It's not. I think because I found a position that worked for me, which was defense, and I realized that just suited my play style so much. Like you have people who try to force themselves to be wingers or goalies, and they're probably really talented at another position. I was pretty much thrown in a fullback because everyone wanted to be wing, but then I realized how much easier it is to start a dribble from the back line with the amount of space you have, and I guess being around players from day one helped me a lot. Obviously, Fraud United, I had the best players ever around me. Same with Arsenal, and probably the same with QPR too.
This was in season 2, right?
Yeah, season 2, I had like I guess on paper, probably the best defined squad we could have gotten. But season 1 at the time, obviously, we were the best team. Gianni was the best player at the time. Zapdos was finding form. Cheeky was finding form. Benny was the best centre mid. I've just been around good players, and I think that's what I'm going to find interesting for next season, with a lot of the new players sort of finding teams with the old veteran players that they can learn off them, which I think will be really good.
Yeah. And obviously you're a pretty good goalkeeper as well. That obviously contributed. Like every single player is very talented in QPR. I just want to get this cleared up. People were saying that it was a bit unbalanced per se. What do you guys say to people that think the teams were unbalanced during season 3?
I think they're gonna realize that people who say like, oh, you're just building a super team, that's why you win, something like that. I don't know. People just say, oh, you're a super team, of course you're gonna win. Like, I wouldn't sign players that this team was built not just because they were super team. I wanted the super players. I'm sure could have just got like all the Fraud United players back. Just chuck as much Arsenal in there as I wanted. But before this season, me and Corzo had never played with Darnell. I'd never played with Lee. I'd never played with Maine. I'd never played with Chili. Who else was there? I think,
Oak. I mean,
yeah,
we only played one game with them.
This team it was a bunch of good players, but it was not like we had the chemistry built up. We had to build it ourselves. We still had to do all the things normal teams do. It's just all really good.
So we'll move on from that. During the season, there is a particular team that got like a lot of slack and a lot of drama. ACM and I don't want to say embarrassment, just a really tragic game against Brighton that ended it officially ended 0-3, I believe, but the game continued to be played until 0-7.
What?
And
I'm
mid-game, most of the players forfeited and quit. Just opening thoughts about that, Benny. Start.
It's hard to say. I don't know everyone's personal beliefs on the situation. Like within the Ace Rowan squad, I don't know how all those individual situations, they probably all had their reasons. But from outside looking in, it was not a very good look for the league. It was something we've tried to avoid this season, and I think we've done successful apart from this. But when people just decide to quit halfway through, and it'll become a domino effect. I think it was like Halos, Luca, one lap, Bog, and that's the whole core of the team.
Yeah. Has this happened before in any other games where people would get quote unquote thrashed and leave? Has that ever happened in previous seasons or games?
Yeah, I think it was just something that occurred in season 1. But I think by season 3, people should be a little bit more mature than that. They all have their reasons.
Corzo, just your thoughts as well. Just get your 2 cents.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, same. Like, I don't know their personal lives. If they had a good reason to leave, then, I guess if it was spur of the moment, then that sort of thing can happen. But I guess it could have, if it was a situation that could have been managed around, then I believe a bit more effort should have been either postpone the game or move it to another date. But, like, in the end, I mean, that's just how it went, and they wanted to play, and they played on, and they had players that leave, so they didn't want to stick around, then that's on them, I guess.
Yeah, I just want to get into season 4. You're managing a team, right, Benny?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. What's the name of the team?
Not quite sure on that one yet, but we'll just stick to QPR for now.
So QPR's in season 4.
Yeah.
Has the players been like officially announced, or is it still being?
I think a lot of people already know, but if you would like the official 9, I can let you know if you'd like. So we've got me, Salmonella, Caden, Main, Oak, Cheeky, Chili, Joshy, and Steezy. That's, I think, 4 QPR players from last season. So that's basically half the squad. And then we got Caden coming in from Slapshot. Probably like 20 hours on the game, so we'll see how he goes. But other than that, team's looking pretty good. We're confident. Play a couple pre-season friendlies, and we'll get some ball going.
Fair enough. I want to talk about the last podcast. And the tier list. Did you have any thoughts on the tier list, or was it?
Yeah, I don't know who made the tier list. I think a couple of I think our team's changed since then.
I just want to get your opening thoughts when you saw
On
the tier
paper,
list.
yeah, I guess Ace and Smerol and probably have the highest ceiling, but I think we'll have to see. I think every team every team that's made right now could win the league. Like it just depends on who wants it the most, to be honest.
That's the good part, to be honest. I mean, like, when you look at it and you think any of these teams could win, then I think that's a way better start than the past 3 seasons that we've had.
Where you sort of know who's more likely to get it or get the championship.
I guess the Community Shield will give us probably a good look into the top 4 and who'll be challenging for a title. But until now, friendlies are kind of just building chemistry, learning tactics if you have any, just getting used to playing with one another. But when the season starts, I'm sure the bigger teams will shine.
Another thing we also covered last podcast was the salary cap. I just want to get like the bare bones. How's it going to work and what's going to happen to teams from now on with the salary cap?
I think everyone knows the salary cap is 300 million.
Mm-hmm.
The way the structure behind the values for each player is to eliminate super teams, which I think by the looks of the 5 teams or 6 teams we have right now, I don't think any of them would even come close to beating Arsenal or QPR or Fortress United. I don't think any of them would even they'd probably lose 10-0, I can't lie. Like, we're eliminating, it's definitely eliminating super teams.
So the whole purpose of the salary cap, you think, is gonna work in season 4?
Yeah,
And
it can't not work.
really, you're that confident?
It can't not work. It's got to the point where the teams that do well, it won't be off who they have. It will be off how they play, which is what we want, because we're starting to see, for example, Inter Milan, Inter Milan, or whatever it is.
Mm.
They're basically coping. They've been playing for a long time, and you can see they're a lot more organised compared to the other teams that don't play together. You can say the same with Sao Paulo.
Yeah.
A lot of Liverpool players on there, they all play together for months now, and they're doing better than, or like competing with teams that you'd think that they would be losing to normally, because of that chemistry, and they already know how each other play.
So will the player values change over time during the season, or would it be fixed?
I think it would be fixed until next season, otherwise it'd be hard to justify mid-season trades, because if you change them, then it wouldn't really be fair, because then the team would have a squad worth more than 300, for example. Like, let's say there was a team who were on 295 mil, and then you change a couple of values, and all of a sudden they're above 300. It'd be like, well, how does that work then? You know what I mean? So I think it's going to be fixed, yeah, for sure.
And the most expensive players would be who exactly? Just enlighten me.
I think it's Corzo alone. It's just him at the top right now, I think.
And what's your thoughts on that, Corzo?
I mean, like, it's hard because
Self-dealer.
there's players out there like Zuza, who's been away. If he stayed, he would easily probably be same level, if not higher, than me. But obviously people like Luca, who was one of the people who left, we didn't get to see how he would finish off the season. You know, there's different factors. I guess I was just the most consistent, I would rather say, rather than the best.
Right. When did you start playing this game? Like, an estimate.
Oh, can actually look. Hold on. I scroll back through far enough.
Just start of December.
Yeah, around about there. Remember, I joined and it was just full of everyone of the Slapshot community, pretty much, like Willac and the Jillies, the Main, the Joycey, Moses, all those type of people. Way before season 1, probably December.
And when you started, how long was it before you sort of got the hang of things? Like, how steep was the learning curve?
Oh, the learning curve is like, it is really steep. It is, in my opinion, this is what I really love about PSO, is that this game is hard, you know. Like, no doubt this game is hard,
True.
but if you just work, you know, you find enough, you know, you just have fun, you just like mess around, and eventually just start feeling yourself getting better and better. Like, obviously I met Fraud United and we played a lot of scrims together, and it was probably the most fun I've ever had playing this game, because before the competitiveness rolled in, we're all just messing around, having fun. I was probably one of the worst on Fraud United when we started, but you know, I just had fun with it and found myself playing the game more and more, hopped on pubs. And I guess that's just how I started.
5v5 indoors.
5v5 indoors, that was where it was at.
And when you started, how many players? Like, there was obviously like a small community in the past, and then you have, you know, a couple more people in the future. How many? Was it just 10, 20?
You'd probably have regulars like Baki, Kanga, Zapdos. Those are like regular players like that. But I think
you just see a lot of people come
you
in.
could not get a reg lobby, no way.
Yeah, no regs. It was just 5v5s were pretty much everything. 3v3s were very common early on in the day.
Yeah, and I'm starting to realize some weekends you can even have two regs up going at once. Like, it's a little
Yeah.
bit rare, but the amount of players that are starting to join, it's kind of interesting. I just want to ask, if the community gets high enough where you guys are able to do possibly 8v8 uh 8v8 matches, and is like way beyond like into the future, and this is like completely hypothetical, would you do a 8v8 league sort of format?
I think to be able to do that, you'd have to double our player base from right now.
Mm.
And I think the only way to double our player base from right now would be to involve a lot of new players. And that means we'd probably look at doing 2 leagues before we ever looked at doing 8v8 if the player
Gotcha.
base got high enough. Because I think if we did 8v8 20, then it'd be definitely like some teams nowadays struggle to get 6 players to play. I think if
Yeah.
we did 8v8, it wouldn't work. And then, yeah, all I say is if we ever increase anything, it'd be more likely to do 2 leagues than to do an 8v8. No.
Corzo, would you be up for an 8v8? Oh, hypothetically.
Um, if we had the possibility to do 8v8, I guess it would be a good thing to try. But I don't know. The good thing about 6v6 is that I think you can see a lot of people's individual talent by playing. I think you can really see the wingers shine during 6v6. There's less defenders, more space to work with.
I think if we sorry, I think if we ever
I
went to 8v8, it would become a lot more tactical.
see, like, nowadays, I feel like we're just talking about individual players. But I feel like if we were in 8v8, we'd be talking more about teams, which I think is what we should be doing. But I don't know, that's just my thought process.
So, hold on. I'm sort of thinking about this. So you'd rather talk about like the team as a whole more.
Yeah. So it's like, if you think, I don't know, like QPR, like, oh, that's Corzo and Benny's team. Look at ACM, oh, that's Luca's team. Like, I feel like if we're doing AVA when there's more players on the pitch, yeah, they can have really good players in certain spots, but you categorize them more as an actual team.
Yeah.
Because it's so much more tactical, and I think that's what we should be trying to look at more as a like a tournament right now.
I don't know how to like talk about this, but we've talked about coping. We've talked about all the teams. And we've talked about who's already in the finals. But Juventus had a chance to get into the finals, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a certain game, coping versus Juventus. Have you guys seen that sort of game?
Yeah.
Just get your opening thoughts, Benny. You first. Like, here's a question. Is there any particular reason why Juventus lost the game?
I think you could. Everyone's just gonna say no Gianni, but that when you have Gianni, you're still gonna. When you have Gianni, it does not change your defense. And they conceded 4 goals in like the first 3 minutes. So it depends. I think Joshy likes to play more as a cam, and then Massive Legend plays more of an anchor. And it's like he's very deep, and Joshy's very high. So there's a lot of room to get counter-attacked in there. And I think coping play very high and wide. So I think they scored early goals, and then from there it was game over, I think.
Yeah. And that was a pretty significant game, because looking at the table now, it was looking quite close. Now looking at it, it's more sort of defined. So I think that game was sort of a defining moment for Juventus. I don't want to like rub it in or anything. I just thought like, wow, what a game.
Yeah, well, 3 points separates the difference between 5th and 4th. And, if they did win that game, we'd be looking at goal difference for them.
Mm.
So, well, I mean, Coping were just better, really. I mean, they outplayed them in every aspect, I think. They led in 7. Coping led in 1. William the GOAT packed him in.
Yeah. We've reached 30 minutes, so I'm gonna get one last topic in. Still focusing on season 3. I just want to talk about like a pretty fierce rival. Like we've talked about Coping, we've talked about Nonce, but the rival they have, like the 2 games they've played, I felt like the community sort of focused more on the Coping Nonce, like El Clasico type stuff. So would you want to see more of that in season 4, like particular teams going at it, particular rivalries? Would you want to see that in season 4? And how do you think those rivalries come about? You first, Penny.
Yeah, for sure. I think season 1 was we had rivalries, and season 2 it was obviously Rochester and Rochester City.
Mm.
This season we've had Coping and Nonce, so next season it'll be interesting. But I think the rivals they'll find themselves. Like we can't just pick 2 teams and go, oh, you're rivals. So I think it will happen naturally, and then we'll get the same sort of scenario where it's like, oh, this team versus this team. PSO wore it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I've realized that because Coping and Nonce, it sort of came around like randomly, sort of like like even before they played against each other, it just came up like in some general chat, and then most of the community made quite a big deal out of it. It was like such a wild game. But
Yeah.
Corzo, do you have any thoughts about like rivalries and just general thoughts on the Coping and Nonce rivalry?
I mean, rivalries are very good. I mean, I love the way it connected the community together for one game. Obviously, at the time, they were the bottom 2 teams, so I think everyone was just trying to get in support of both the teams and just hype them up for the game, which I think was really good and of our community. But yeah, I would like to see some good rivalries in season 4, maybe a little bit more. I think we've only had like maybe 1 this season. I can't really think of anything more except for Coping versus Nonce. So that would definitely be a lot better. But for fuck, I forgot your question.
Oh, just rivalries in general,
Yeah. Wow, what was the other part? Sorry.
and just thoughts on Coping and Nonce.
Oh,
I
Coping and Nonce.
do
Yeah.
want to talk about another thing. Would you consider QPR and Brighton to be rivals, considering they were title contenders, both of them?
I think
I
you
feel like we're
labelled it.
just top of the ladder clash. I mean, I like playing against them. I don't know if there's like a culture aspect to it. Like every single time we verse, it's always just been first versus second type thing. I don't know if that really counts as a rivalry, but if it does, then I guess so.
Yeah, I understand that. Benny, I think you were gonna say something, but
Yeah, I think you labelled it perfectly. I think title contenders, I think that's the labels, not rivalry. It's 2 teams fighting for a title, 2 good teams.
so you would like to see more of that? Just 2.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. I think it'll be a lot more competitive. Like, I think this season, we've won 10 games out of 12. I think next season, I don't think you'll see a team win 10 out of 12. I think if some team does that, like, I just applaud them now, to be honest, because I don't think it'll be possible.
So I'm gonna wrap this up. It's a little short, but We've pretty much covered season 3, season 4, the salary cap, particular players in season 3 that showed up, and highlights and that. So that's going to be the end of the A-League Waffle podcast. Thank you guys for watching. And Benny, do you have any last words before you go?
Forza QPR.
Fair enough. And
I was
Corzo?
gonna say Forza Jelly, Forza Main, Forza Oak, Forza CCC.
Okay.
Just Forza QPR. For me.
Yeah.
just the whole of QPR.
Forza Daily Joseph Jackper.
You know what? I think we should shout out Jing for keeping AC Milan alive.
Yeah, that's true. Shout out Jing.
That is true. Like, I thought I was gonna have to find another club, considering, but Jing just came in clutch. So
Jing's
shout
a
out
dope
him.
guy.
Yeah. And I think that's gonna be it. Thank you guys.
The Lord is gonna help you feel better, so you ain't gotta cry today. Sit at the light so long.